Greetings, fellow Salt and Sassers, and welcome to another video on solo RPGs. Today I want to talk to you about The Land Beyond, which is another small single-page journaling RPG. This one is by Caesar Kapockley, whom you may remember from my other video on Not a Demon. I own a lot of games from Caesar Kapockley because he's one of my favorites, and The Land Beyond is one of the first game of his that I acquired, in part because it intros as such. You are a raccoon. You lived your whole life on an island, but now you have a hot air balloon. You want to be free and reach the land beyond. So, yes, a lot of my games are about woodland animal or fantasy. It's just the way that my collection shakes up. It's not all that I have, but bear with this raccoon story with me because I think it's a very interesting game. Again, extremely simple. It's the kind of game that I actually like to play sort of like one round a day, like just before bed or something like that. It's just one of those meditative, contemplative games. The way that it plays is that you are supposed to cut out this hot air balloon and place it on the stars, and that little raccoon, and place it next to the start here on the prompt list. I personally prefer not to write on this sheet of paper, so I usually employ the old roll and write trick of putting the sheet in a transparent sheet and just marking off progress as I go. So this is like my hot air balloon traveling through the map. Here I keep track of the main resources, and here's my raccoon traveling down the prompts. Right. I'll just take the sheet off for now because I think the glare might get distracting on video. So the way this game works, it's run on simply 2d6, which I think everybody should have kicking around somewhere. You roll some prompt and you come up with an adventure that pertains around the prompts. So the way this starts, you usually start the game with 8 energies. See the battery here. This would be a full track of 8 and 4 burdens, which is how burdened down you are when you start on your journey. And then one would roll 2d6. One gets assigned to the journey down here for the prompt word, and one is used to describe the outcome of the adventure. So you get to choose which one of the two you want to assign to which. The outcome of the adventure can be that your adventure was exhausting, that it left you confused, or that it left you energized. Now, energy again is an important currency because before you roll, you would move your hot air balloon along the path. This map is very stylized, right? So basically, like, a segment is basically a place that's surrounded with lines. So I would move from the star to here, and then I could move from this segment here all the way to the orange here. The colors are useful in a way that they also help with the prompts, but we'll get to that. So basically, I would have to erase one energy to move my hot air balloon onto the map, really, and then I would decide what I want to do with those 2 dice. I would probably want to get the energy if I can, so I would assign the outcome of the adventure as being energizing, leaving me with a 2 for the prompt. So I would move my raccoon from start to fire to time. So my prompt of this particular round would be time. And then we would roll these 2 again. And 1 dice gets assigned to a column. 4, for example, would go here. And then 5 would be the word, but I would base myself off the color. So right now I would be in this teal color. So the 4 teal color line, prompt number 5 is sprint. Sprint of time would be my prompt. So that's a pretty open prompt, right? And then we would narrate the adventure that comes out of the sprint of time. And then you would keep going. So recycle the thing and move on the next thing using an energy, rolling 2 cards for prompt. So this game is literally quite centered around the journaling aspect and the creating the story. Now this is where perhaps I'm playing the game right, perhaps I am playing it wrong, but the way that I actually interpret this prompt is actually, for example, when I'm driving, because I mean, my raccoon is a hot air balloon right now, leaving the island where they've lived their whole life, hoping to reach a better place. I'm equating this to, when I'm driving and I end up reliving or thinking back to certain aspects of my life and experiencing these emotions again. And I think that this works well with the idea of letting go of burdens that I'm carrying with me. So basically, I'm seeing this as the raccoon is its little hot air balloon, leaving everything they've ever known, hoping to get somewhere else, and basically having a little like solo therapy session with themselves. And that's how I'm playing it. So basically, like, I would go, and as the story advanced with the raccoon, I would build on the prompts, right? So basically I would say, okay, the sprint of time, that makes me think of that time when I was a baby raccoon, and we always had to hurry no matter where we went, but then we were always early. And as a raccoon, I felt that was very strange, because by having to be early all the time, I always had to interrupt something I was in the middle of, like some kind of really, really important raccoon game, to get all ready and washed and dressed up, to show up to an event, and then I'd be the first person there with my parents. And then they were always how important it is to not waste people's time, and to hurry up so that people don't wait for us. But then why do I always have to wait for everybody else? And this would be my question. And then I could translate the outcome as energized, perhaps with my raccoon realizing, for example, that, I didn't really have to do that. It's okay to just be on time, not always strive to be early, not always strive to be the one who doesn't inconvenience anybody else. Yes, I want to be a respectful raccoon, but I don't perhaps have to be overcompensating raccoon either. So that's how the memory I just lived through gave me an extra energy. I sort of like close that loop of reliving that moment and that moment of discomfort, and then I can move on to the next segment of my journey. And then we would roll again, getting a new prompt. Now maybe I would leave myself confused with the next one and not be sure how to resolve the story, or maybe I would revisit it later. Maybe it's the sort of thing that I think back, it's something I did and I still feel bad about it, so it would still leave me like this. So I wouldn't get more energy to keep going. The prompts that have a weight on them is how you actually have a chance of getting rid of burdens. So again, when I play, I interpret burdens as sort of like those things that weighed me down from my past, those memories, those part of discomfort, that voice in your head that makes you think that you're not a good enough raccoon. That's what I see this. So when you hit a prompt, so say I'd roll a 3 here and I'd rolled on perfection instead of time, then I would get to roll a d6 again. And on a 1, I would get an additional burden out of that. So not only while I'm energized, maybe I would walk away from that prompt with an extra burden. Or maybe I would lose a burden. So again, this could also see like that memory I was working through, like was it a core sort of memory thing, or is it just like, did I pile on myself? Did I over criticize myself? Or did I like learn to let go? So if you ever go beyond 0 energy, you don't have the energy to keep going on your journey. So the winds blow you back to your starting island. If you have 8 burden, same thing. You're just too weighted down to keep going. You would go back to your start island and start again some other day. And the winning condition again is if you reach here feeling more energized than burdened, then your little raccoon has moved on to the land beyond. So that is how I play this game. I mean, I'm not entirely sure if I was supposed to actually have adventures, like real-time adventures that live through this. But again, I really like the idea of reliving my life as I'm like sort of navigating towards something different. It's actually very fun because as cute and quaint as it can be, some of the stories I've come up with made me feel, because I'm trying to find something that burns my raccoon and something that exhausts my raccoon or something that frees my raccoon. Like I'm coming up with these things that are actually kind of weirdly heavy and emotional. So it's kind of fun. And as the story progresses, the raccoon stories get more and more elaborate or intertwined. We have recurring stories or continuation of stories, or maybe I revisit another story. So it's, I don't know, it's a neat exercise, to be honest. Like, I really feel like I'm some kind of raccoon therapist as I play it, which maybe sounds interesting, maybe doesn't. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's super simple. It's really fun. It's a good way to just go into an imaginary land for a little bit and make up a story. And that's all I can say really about the land beyond. I will link it in the notes below as usual. And let me know if you have any question. Have a great day.